Feels so good. Welcome back, everybody. We're back in the workshop. Back from off-grid, back on grid. It's a hot, hot day in July. 93 degrees outside, but only 78 degrees in here. But it's not going to stay like that. We get to 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, this workshop's going to get up into the 80s. It's not going to be nice for making videos. I'm putting air conditioning in. It's also a heater. Mini split air conditioner. It's 12,000 BTUs, 230 volts. We usually call it 220. This will be running off of a 20 amp breaker, 2 hots in the ground. So I'm going to use the black, I'm going to use the white, I'm going to use the ground. And the black and the white are going to be hot. That's going to go to the outside unit right here. It also heats at 12,000 BTUs. It works from negative 13 degrees all the way up to positive 115 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm gonna jump right into installing this, but I'm gonna let you see all the work that's involved. It's gonna get mounted on the wall right there. I'm gonna route all the piping down, over, and out the back of the workshop. This is gonna hang on the back wall of that room over there. It'll all make sense once we get going. My workshop is full of a lot of things, full of a lot of tools, full of a lot of scrap wood. I'm gonna give you a shot over into this direction of the workshop. Not many people get to see this area. This cabinet here is going to come down. This is known as my WD-40 cabinet. I actually have to edit my next WD-40 video tonight. So we got all sorts of WD-40 products up in here, thousands of pounds of WD-40. That's how well the Handyman installs kitchen cabinets. You see, I got a lot of scrap wood. You know, with the pandemic and everything, all this extra wood came in handy. It made a lot of money off the scrap wood that I kept. We're going to keep it a little bit longer and just move it around while we do this project. Lots of WD. Is that a lifetime supply of WD-40? Little known fact, I blew an opportunity to have my video on TV for Flex Seal. They did a sponsorship with me. I was up on a roof. I did not yet have this fancy microphone, and my audio was trash. And they basically said, hey, if you had better audio, you'd be on TV. So that's what prompted me to go out and buy this whole wireless microphone setup here, so I wouldn't blow my TV opportunity. Well, this is the mounting bracket. Looks almost like a microwave mounting bracket, and that's how I'm going to install it. It's almost exactly the same. I put this board up here because this is only meant to go on 16-inch on center studs, and I've got 24. So this is the back of the inside unit, and it just goes up and hangs on that bracket I put on the wall. The part I'm at now is I'm installing the wiring. This is just a cable that comes with it. Then I'll be hooking up the pipes. This is your drain tube. The other parts are in the outside unit. I'll show you how I hooked up this electrical. It comes through here, and there's knockouts on both ends. For your installation, it may be a little bit different. Comes in through here, snakes up into here. These are the electrical connections. This is for the 220 unit. It also comes in a 110 volt unit. So you got to check your manual for how these are hooked up. But then goes through that clamp, goes down and out the back. What's going on here? It's getting heavy. So here's something interesting. There's extra wire, or another bundle of wire that appears to be the same length as the wire that came in the box with the indoor unit. I believe this is what they want you to use for the power wire. And since this thing is shipped all over the world, that may be how they do it in other countries. I'm going to tell you how you're supposed to do it in the United States of America. So there's supposed to be a disconnect right next to the outdoor unit with a whip that goes into the outdoor unit. Little thing goes in that disconnect with a handle on it. You pull it out, then you flip it upside down and you stick it back in. That kills the power to the outdoor unit so that you can work on it. I'm probably not going to do that. If this was longer, I would actually use this because, you know, wire these days is pretty expensive. But I believe this is only 16 feet and I'm going to need a lot more to get over to my panel. So if you do get one of these and you open this up and you're like, what the heck is this wire for? I'm pretty sure that's what it's for. So there is an option that I could do. My 220 air compressor is right there on the other side of the wall. I could, if I wanted to, I don't know why I would do this, wire this right into that outlet. This only runs off of 6 amps. That's it. So maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll tap right in to the 220 for the air compressor, use that as a junction box. See how this is unconventional, but it's my workshop and I can do what I want. So another issue I just came up with is the drain hose that they provide you is only 6 feet long. Now if you're mounting this on an exterior wall, that is more than plenty to get condensation out of your house. I'm mounting it on an interior wall and it's got to go 14 feet maybe to get outside. I'll have to buy a little extra to make it out of the workshop. So these are your refrigerant lines. You got to be very careful. You got to unroll them. So there's a small one and a big one. A refrigerant going from the outside to the inside and then back, return line. All you HVAC technicians can put down in the comments the correct terminology of all this stuff. 15, not 15. Guten tight. There is a certain foot poundage you're supposed to put on here. That's my foot poundage. Nice. Everything is all tidied up. They give you some extra foam insulation and that's what I use to cover up this area here. Now I'm going to start taping it together and get this run out the hole and hang it on the wall. This is so easy. Anybody can do this. You might change your mind later though. We got some little bit tougher processes coming up in a few minutes. Got it all taped up. I'll worry about that last bit there after I get this on the wall and get it routed along the wall. So the next step is just get this thing hung up here. And from what I can tell, there's no screws, no nothing. You just hang it on these top hooks here, and then there's 2 clips that go on the bottom. So I'm going to get this thing kind of coiled up over in this direction. Gotta have a place for the slack to go. Well, it was a little bit of a wrestling match. I'll show you how this comes out over here in a second. You're supposed to have 6 inches on either side, 15 centimeters or something on the top. We're clear. We got about 5 inches over here. Not going to worry about that. It's getting hot in here though. It's up to 84 degrees. We could hit high 80s, maybe even 90 by the end of the day. So we'll have a great opportunity to test this thing out. So this is the outside unit. And it's going to sit off the ground on these stainless steel brackets that were provided by Tosot. The feet on this are 21¼ inches on center. Because the feet are welded to the bottom. And there's no other mounting surfaces. So I'm going to mount these just like that. Should work out. The only issue I'm having is the directions say maintain 11 inches between the back and the wall. And there's no way to do that with the provided bracketry. 7 inches. So I'm going to install it this way. Put down in the comments, am I screwed? Is this going to work right? What I can always do is get some angle and build some extension bars on this bracket here to get it out another 4 inches. For the meantime, this is what we're going with. I've got some 3/8 inch galvanized lag bolts. I think they're 3 inches long, and some galvanized washers. And that's what's going to bolt this thing to the workshop. Because this is 21 1/4 inches on center, this won't bolt up to any house that I know of in the United States of America. We have 24 inches on center, we have 16 inches on center. Once in a while we'll have 12 inches on center for some rafters. So what I had to do was scab on a 2x4 to the inside of my exterior studs on that wall there so that I could get 21 1/4 inches on center. Gotten to be 85 degrees in the workshop. It's 99 degrees outside. Maybe I'll just wait till tomorrow morning. Maybe it's cocktail hour. I think it's going to be happy hour. But you won't have to wait. It's going to start right now. I'm going to do the fancy transition. Good morning, everybody. Back to finish the air conditioner install. Starting the day off with a nice cup of joe in this custom-made Handyman coffee mug. This is the one I've been telling you about. People have been asking for this for decades. Tastes better too. So why would someone want to use this ductless mini split type air conditioner? Where's it useful for? Well, obviously a garage or workshop is the most common use for it in the United States of America. But I'm finding more and more uses for them, and that's one of the reasons that I wanted to learn how to install them. I feel like I'm going to be using them more in the future. I have a rental property that does not have central air conditioning, but it rents for $3,500 a month, and there may come a time where the renters that are willing to pay or can afford to pay $3,500 a month want something more than a window unit air conditioner. It's a very small place, and I'm thinking a 2-head mini split unit would be perfect. This seems very easy. If you had an exterior wall, you could have this done in 2 hours. I'm into it for about an hour, and I think it's going to take me about 30 minutes to get that part mounted on the outside of the wall. Put a link down in the description for this attachment to use your impact with your sockets. So up until this point, you could have easily trained a chimpanzee to do this install. Once this comes out, people go,
whoa, whoa, whoa. That's craziness. I don't know how to use that. That looks very complicated.
And then once this device comes out, they say it again.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. That's craziness. I don't know how to do that.
But this channel, we're not about that. We're doing it ourselves. All you need is access to Amazon. It's this website where you can buy just about anything and everything, even things made in the United States of America. That's where this whole Master Cool valve set, vacuum gauge set came from. What is it? It's Sunday. I love my Sundays. Now this one here definitely came from China. This is a 1/2 horsepower, 110 volt, 5 CFM. Basically what we're gonna do is evacuate those pipes of any air. We got to put a vacuum in there to suck any condensation out. And then we're going to see if it'll hold a vacuum, and that will tell us if there's a leak. Now this is not the pro grade way to do this. The pro grade way to do this is to pump nitrogen into those line sets and see if it will hold pressure, and then suck it all out. Then release the refrigerant and everything goes in. The middle one, this yellow, gets hooked up to the vacuum pump. It's going to start sucking. Then the blue one, we're going to hook this into one of those out there that's got a little, oh shoot, I got to find that. There's a little adapter, a little Schrader adapter that I've got somewhere in this workshop. Hopefully we can find it. It starts sucking air out, and you'll see on this gauge here that it'll suck a vacuum, and then we want to hold the vacuum. It's time to hook these things up here, and I wanted to go over a few things. A lot of misconceptions and just straight up bad information out there on the internet. These are compression fittings. So this flare here, it's See how shiny that is? That flare meets up with that surface there. First thing you want to do is make sure that they're aligned and it's seating on there perfectly, in perfect alignment, just like that. Hopefully I can zoom in. Only place that this seals is at that surface, the inner part of this and that cone right there. I'm going to be using some of this Nylog blue, and this goes on the mating surfaces. It does not go on the threads. Your threads do not seal this at all. The back side of this flared fitting is not a sealing point. The sealing comes from right there. I've actually seen HVAC technicians put this sealant on the threads and on the back side of this flare. The only thing that does is mess up your torque. So when you're torquing this down to the proper specification, you can over torque it because you have the threads lubed up. But you did absolutely nothing to help seal it up. So I'll be putting this, a little dab smeared right on the mating surfaces. All right, I gotta get in the way of the camera so I can grab a hold of this and torque these down, but you won't be able to see that. So just know that I'm doing it. I don't want anybody freaking out in the comments.
See, didn't torque it. I didn't torque it down to the oomph pounds.
I have the line sets up on a vacuum right now. I'm going to run it for 15 minutes to make sure all the air, atmospheric type air, is sucked out. It's going to suck out all the humidity too. And then I'm going to close the valve, turn the pump off, and watch that gauge and see if it rises, if air gets sucked in. Now I've got 3 connection points that are independent from the flared fittings. That's 3 different variables of leaks. Not very good. Earlier I said a chimpanzee could be trained to do this first part. I don't want anybody to think that the HVAC industry is easy. The HVAC industry is very technical. There's a lot of numbers, there's a lot of charts, there's a lot of specialty tools that are expensive. The ones I showed you are just an Amazon special that a homeowner or a guy who owns rental houses can put to use. On these mini splits, the flared fittings are the #1 source of a leak of refrigerant. These were factory flared. That was a big plus for me. I used the Nylog blue on the surfaces, on the flared surfaces, not on the threads. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to have sealed end. I also use that Nylog on the inside unit connections as well. While this is doing a vacuum, I'm going to get started on hooking this up to my air compressor. This gauge is rock solid. That needle hasn't budged. I have all the electrical hooked up and we're ready to go. So I'm very confident that there are no leaks. So here's something else that I see a lot of people do on these YouTube videos is they think they're all done with this valve here and they take this off and that Schrader valve does not respond fast enough and psst, a little bit of atmospheric air goes in there. So what I'm going to do is release the refrigerant. There's going to be a positive pressure. We'll watch this gauge go in the opposite direction, and then when I take this off, there'll be a little psst of refrigerant that comes out. That teeny little bit of psst refrigerant is way better than having atmospheric air go in there. So we are way up on the pressure dial. Just going to back this out until it stops. This one too. Now, I won't have any air go in when I take this off. That's fine. We didn't let hardly anything out. Now we got to get our soapy water and we're going to test these flares here. So all my spray bottles are in use. So I just got a coffee mug here with some dish soap and water. It's looking for bubbles. The interesting thing is I never see anybody test the inside. The inside, well, you really can't test it because it's all hung up on the wall and there's no way to test it. So you're just guessing. Since we can access this one here and get the soap on it, we'll check for the bubbles. Moving all the soap around. Not seeing anything. I'm going to dry this off, put everything away. I'm even going to wrap this up, and then we'll go turn it on. Step one is we got to turn the breaker on. I do have my air compressor unplugged. No sparks. We got a beep. That means things are going well. Power. Mode. Cool. Oh, thing already opened. That is so quiet. It says it's 82 degrees in here, so this will be a good test. Can't believe it, but this thing is on. I don't think the condenser has turned on yet. It's probably going through like a boot up mode or something. I got a little concerned there because I turned it on and not much happened. I went through the entire manual, making sure I did everything correctly, and I did. Got to the troubleshooting section. I had no trouble codes displayed up there. Just takes a few minutes for the condenser to kick on. That was it. So right now, it's putting out 57 degree air, but it just kicked on. It says it's 81 right up at the air intake. It's going to take a while for this place to cool down. Going to just run it and see how it goes. At this point, everything's been tested. My only points of failure are those flared connections of the line sets, the pipes, the flexible pipes that go from the indoor unit to the outdoor unit. I don't have the kit for a torque wrench for open end wrenches. So you can buy a kit that goes on your torque wrench that is all different size open end wrenches. So I'd need a metric open end wrench torque kit. Didn't have that. Went with by feel, and I used the Nylog Blue on both the inside and the outside. Under cooling should be around 100 psi, I think. And under heating, I believe the pressure inside those flexible pipes is double that of cooling. Again, I wanted to state that just because I installed a mini split unit once, or you did, doesn't mean you're a pro grade HVAC guy. This is just for my own workshop. Maybe I'll put one in my rental property. Maybe I'll put one in my next workshop. Maybe I'll put them in a friend's workshop. Things like that. But if you got questions or some advice, put that down below in the comment section. There'll also be links down below in the description, so you can go look up the specifications and maybe make a purchase. Thanks for watching. Goodbye. There's a little bonus footage. So here it is up running up on the wall, and I got my laser up in there, and I got 39 degrees. Look at that, 37. That's pretty cold. 37 up in there. That's what I like to see. Feels so good. Ah, feels good. Goodbye.